Good morning.
Good morning. This is Vanessa at Cable TV. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm fine, thank you.
Of the same. Do you need to do a countdown?
Yes, we do. If you don't mind counting down from 5 for us.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I start in 30 seconds. Good morning. I'm Trayon White Sr., council member of Ward 8 and the chair of the Committee on Recreation, Library, and Youth Affairs. Today is Monday, March the 21st, 2022. We're meeting remotely using this Zoom platform. The time is now 9:03 a.m. and I'm calling to order this public hearing on budget agency oversight for DC Serve, and the Mayor's Office on Volunteerism and Partnership, and the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. The hearing today will start with DC Serve. DC Serve's mission is to connect people, funding, knowledge, and volunteer opportunities and resources to residents, business leaders, and the philanthropic partners working together to give back and improve the lives of communities of DC. During the performance oversight hearing, the agency discussed many accomplishments for FY21. And I know we are waiting for a public witness. If the public witness is not available, we're going to elevate our government witnesses.
She's here, council member.
Good morning, council member.
Good morning, Director Squire. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
It's Monday, so you know.
It is. It's Monday, and we're here, so that's a great thing.
Bless. Yes, absolutely. All right. Will any of your staff be joining you as well, or would it just be you?
It will just be me.
Okay. As you know, it's the practice of this office to swear in all government witnesses. You can start by raising your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give to the Committee on Recreation, Libraries, Youth Affairs is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you can start off with your testimony.
All right. Good morning, Chairperson White, members of the committee and staff. My name is Alexis Squire, and I'm honored to serve under Mayor Muriel Bowser as the district's Chief Service Officer and the Director of the Mayor's Office on Volunteerism and Partnerships, affectionately known as Serve DC. Our office is aptly positioned within the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs, MOCA, and proudly serves alongside 13 other constituent service offices, all focused on engaging residents, businesses, and stakeholders through community outreach, partnerships, and other strategic efforts. Last week, Mayor Bowser proposed the fiscal year 23 Fair Shot budget, which reflects what we are hearing from DC residents. Their concerns about public safety and affordability, how we can work towards access to safe and dignified housing for all, how we can make our roads safer, and continue to rethink how we use public space in commercial corridors. It also offers big investments in our young people through our schools and facilities, but also significant investments in early learning and out-of-school time activities. The offices within the MOCA cluster serve as a direct link between the diversity of new Washingtonians and the special emphasis populations, including, but not limited to, the LGBTQIA+ Washingtonians, the nightlife industry, the deaf, blind, and hard of hearing immigrants, and women. MOCA offices work to directly engage constituents and foster relationships, which means our MOCA offices are an entry point that allows us to become trusted messengers between government and the community. With the proposed fiscal year 23 Fair Shot budget, Mayor Bowser is doubling down on her commitment to ensuring every Washingtonian has the opportunity to build back better and ensure our offices can provide them with equitable access to district services. Chief of Staff John Falchicchio will testify separately about the overall vision of the Executive Office of the Mayor, where MOCA resides, and several other MOCA offices will have separate hearings. However, I want to highlight today several programs that will continue to expand in fiscal year 23. As we continue the district's comeback and economic recovery from the coronavirus pandemic, the mayor has tasked our offices with funding grants that allow community-based organizations to support our city's vibrant culture, supporting the implementation and expansion of streeteries as DC continues its stride as the district of comebacks, and informing residents of district programs to expand access to their fair shot. Our offices will continue to partner with district government agencies to bolster outreach, provide feedback, and inform residents of key district-wide efforts to address our residents' most pressing concerns in public safety, health and human services for the vulnerable, our children's educational aspirations, transportation, and environmental developments, and housing affordability concerns. The mayor has ambitious goals, and the fiscal year 23 budget provides MOCA with the necessary means to help our residents emerge from this pandemic stronger and more ready to thrive. Our MOCA offices stand at the ready to deliver these goals by engaging and fostering relationships and serving as trusted messengers to our residents in all 8 wards. In fiscal year 23, specifically within Serve DC, my team and I look forward to continuing to connect people, funding, knowledge, volunteer opportunities, and resources to residents, business leaders, and philanthropic partners, all working together to give back and improve the lives and communities of DC. We will achieve this by curating the philanthropic and volunteer ecosystem, by connecting each act of service from donation to action, responding to our city's needs through targeted philanthropic partnerships, volunteer opportunities, trainings, orchestrating, organizing, and promoting major gifts and resources as needed. Serve DC's collective actions support Mayor Bowser's priority for creating safer, stronger communities and placing residents on a pathway to the middle class. In fiscal year 23 Fair Shot budget, Serve DC is prepared to allocate more than $4 million in AmeriCorps grants to our sub-grantees. To supplement the traditional federal funds received for our AmeriCorps programs, we anticipate additional funds provided through the American Rescue Plan, enabling both Serve DC and our AmeriCorps programs and members to better address some of our city's most critical community needs, including gun violence and public safety, through enhanced daily operations capacity, increased cost of living adjustments for members, and an assurance that we will continue to build upon the deep legacy of our DC AmeriCorps story by recruiting and retaining a core of diverse and service-minded Washingtonians. Additionally, our volunteerism generation funds will support nonprofits to serve boys and young men of color, with an emphasis on those whose missions and programs address key needs that have arisen or worsened as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, including physical and mental health and wellness, gun violence prevention, and financial literacy and life skills. Ensuring residents are prepared in times of emergencies and advancing Mayor Bowser's commitment to creating more informed and resilient communities through strategic outreach efforts are also core areas of investment reflected in our Serve DC fiscal year 23 budget. During the height of the public health emergency, Serve DC acted as a central hub and convener, helping to liaise between local leadership and community, along with regional and federal emergency partners, creating targeted trainings and activations, and directing volunteer and donation resources to address our city's most essential service needs. Even in light of significant cuts to our regionally designated and federally funded education and outreach grant, named UASI, historically made possible through our ESF 16 Volunteer and Donations Council on Government designation. Serve DC, under the leadership of Mayor Bowser, continues to underscore the safety of our residents and the deep commitment to ensuring their ability to build back in equitable and accessible ways. Therefore, in fiscal year 23, our hope is to honor this commitment by expanding our efforts and implementing new and innovative collaborations and outreach strategies to better support our neighbors in times of disasters, including enhancing and expanding our Community Emergency Response Team, CERT, program through increased information sessions and trainings and simulation activities, assisting our seniors and residents with access function needs by ensuring equitable volunteer recruitment and retention and deployment of our SNOW team of volunteer heroes across all 8 wards, and empowering our young people to be civically engaged, gain community service hours, and explore and create career possibilities in emergency management through learn and serve opportunities and certifications. At Serve DC, we are aware of the increased threat of both mass shootings and small-scale acts of gun violence, and we look forward to supporting our sister agencies through community trainings and capacity building opportunities. We also look forward to working with our AmeriCorps grantees and partners to address gun violence and other critical and urgent needs through quality service delivery and cultural competency. Volunteerism remains at the heart of Serve DC's mission, connecting district residents to our community's greatest needs through service. In fiscal year 22, we witnessed a continued use of our volunteer and donations portal, which connects thousands of volunteers to opportunities and organizations throughout the district. This portal contributed significantly to the success of our signature activations, including our 9/11 Day of Service, our MLK Day of Service, and we plan to continue to leverage its possibilities in fiscal year 23. Our expanded volunteer footprint and targeted collaborations, along with our ability to create efficient and accessible ways for residents to respond and mobilize, will advance our agency's mission of empowering residents and multi-sector partners and create solutions to some of our city's greatest challenges through service. The resources allocated to the Mayor's Office on Volunteerism and Partnerships will play a critical role in our agency's ongoing response to current health and social justice disparities experienced within our nation's capital. Through the Mayor's fiscal year 23 Fair Shot budget, we fully expect to continue to provide the same or expanded levels of service given our funding. Additionally, our staff will continue to serve as the clearinghouse for donations to the district and ensure that local government staff understand the value, the proper protocols, and the impact of donations in support of significant priorities. Already in fiscal year 22 to date, we have processed over $3,825,394 in donations. The continued investment in our agency will support this work within the next fiscal year. Finally, as we move forward from the depths of COVID-19, the pandemic, our mission and funds are aptly aligned to actualize Mayor Bowser's vision of providing possibilities and paths to building back in more equitable and accessible ways. Through our nonprofit capacity building work, our Serve 202 Partnerships and Priorities series, our biweekly funding alert, and other focus areas, we continue to focus on local community-based organizations, especially those who serve within our most vulnerable communities, to help them recover from financial and human capital losses experienced through this public health emergency. We also aim to connect these organizations to attract and retain new partners, new funds, and new resources in an effort to increase their capacity and impact their residents. In closing, I want to thank Mayor Bowser for her leadership, for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. It is an honor to serve my neighbors in our beautiful city, my hometown, in such a direct way. I also want to thank my Serve DC and MOCA colleagues who work tirelessly on behalf of our city and all of our residents. Thank you, Councilmember White, for this opportunity to testify. I welcome any questions from the committee.
Thank you so much for that. So let's jump right in. How many staff do you currently have?
Yes, so we currently have 13 FTEs and one is sitting over with OSSI in their budget.
Do you have any vacancies?
We do have one vacancy currently, and that is our grants management specialist.
Okay, that's an important vacancy. What's your goal to get that vacancy filled, and what's the time frame?
Yeah, so we've been working feverishly to make sure that we fill that. We participated and had it listed in the recent DCHR job fair. We are including it in all of our publications, working within our partners to identify quality people, and also working with our other commissions across the country and our advocacy agencies to find some quality candidates who have AmeriCorps experience.
Okay. So I guess so where are you in that process?
So we have it listed. We are anticipating interviews in the next few weeks, but we're continuing to push it out.
Okay. Do you have an expected time to, I know it's a search is an ongoing process,
Right.
and it's a fundraising position, or someone who manages giving out grants. And I'm concerned about that partly because, as you know, we used to have an Office of Partnerships and Grants as a standalone agency.
Yes.
And I work a lot with the nonprofit community.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I get a lot of questions about the link, the alerts. People feel like I'm a part of that community because I once ran a nonprofit. So it'd be good to know, what you guys are doing in that capacity and filling that position to ensure that people are getting timely information. Not saying that they're not, because I don't know, I'm not in that space. But I am concerned that we have to get someone hired to get that going. Is there someone else who's currently doing that work?
There is. So this person, this role will really be of greatest value with our AmeriCorps program. So some of the services that you just shared, they are being done by our donations and partnership manager and also our PIO. So we work together to get that funding alert to make sure that it's timely and has really, significant and great information for nonprofits.
Okay. I noticed in your testimony, you mentioned Serve DC is tasked with funding community-based grants and strategies. What would the expansion be to include all 8 wards?
So yes, so I was referring to our AmeriCorps program again. And so what we've done this time around, and something that my team and I have been really proud of and really working to make sure that we get it right. But we have done info sessions. We have even had the opportunity through anticipated American Rescue Funds to expand the mayor's focus areas in terms of AmeriCorps capacity. And so one of those that we're hopeful to be able to address is gun violence prevention. And so we have liaised with our council members' offices. We've liaised with building blocks with their grantees and other quality organizations that are located across the city, but many of them east of the river in Ward 7 and 8, to make sure that they are aware of the possibility, aware of the grant funding, that they are aware of our info sessions. We've also created an FAQ for these community organizations to understand exactly what AmeriCorps is, to make it as simple as possible and as accessible as possible. And so we encourage still, the grant is due, the application is due April the 8th. We encourage all community-based organizations to really learn more about AmeriCorps and how you can increase your capacity through these grant funds.
Got it. And what would AmeriCorps' role be in public safety?
So we see it in that same way. We know that capacity building is really a central part of expanding and addressing any public safety concern. And so 2 things that we do. One is the grant funding, and we are hopeful again to be able to have a organization, to grant a new organization that does directly address gun violence. But we also know that some of the other quality organizations that do out of school work with our young people, who do education resources, like a LAYC or like others, they also are part of addressing public safety in an indirect way. Also, we also host capacity building sessions, such as our Serve 202 priorities and partnerships convening directly around some of our most critical focus areas within the city and challenges, one of them being gun violence. And I was happy to see your staff there when we hosted that. And then we're making sure that those interested organizations that address these needs are continuing to matriculate through our organization, but also are connected to other organizations that have resources and can provide that additional capacity for them.
Yeah, we noticed that you guys received a donation of 3.8 million. Is that accurate? 3.825 and $394. Are you familiar with that?
No, so that isn't a donation that we've received. That is what we've processed in donations to date.
Okay, explain that to me. What you mean processed in donation? Gave out or received?
So we are neither, I guess, giving out or receiving.
Yeah,
We are the hub and the office that processes the donation. So there is a substantial donations kind of legal efficiency, the sufficiency process, and we are the convener of that. So when someone gets a donation, there is a process, and our donations and partnerships manager does timely trainings on this. And so once we receive it, we also record it, and we're able to process it.
I need you to back up a little bit if you can.
Sure.
What is the it that you're receiving?
Sure. Once we receive notice of the donation.
Okay.
Through a donation agreement.
You all intervene in donations to other agencies and do some type of process.
We just make sure that they're sound.
Okay.
And we record them and manage the process.
Okay, so this is not a part of you guys' budget, this 3.8 million?
No, sir.
Okay. So you record it and then do what?
We make sure that we're recording it, that it's, we are sending timely thank yous to the donors. They could be financial donations or in-kind donations.
Okay. All right. And can you tell me how much were the cuts to the regionally designated federal funding education outreach grants?
Yes, give me one moment.
While you're searching for that, you just want you to think about how much the executive was able to assist to ensure the ability to build back these programs during these cuts.
Yeah, so we typically, give me one moment.
Okay.
One moment. Okay, so we are talking about roughly over $700,000. And so 550 of those 700 is our UASI funding, and an additional 185 is our SHIP funding. And so regionally, the region has decided that is our volunteer and donations designation. They have decided to eliminate that funding. And so Mayor Bowser, because she understands the priority of our community being resilient, that is something that we are now, she is investing in under Executive Office of the Mayor.
Do we know how much?
Yes, it is 735,000 combined.
Okay. and I want to go back to the funding a little bit. What happens with the website and managing the funding alerts? Who collects that information? Who posts it? Who monitors that? Because I know you have a staff of 13. How many people you have assigned to do that?
We typically, it probably goes through 3 people within my staff to execute that.
And what does that process look like before you get it out to the public, kind of gathering?
Sure. Yeah. So we are working through, any other publications that we receive around funding. We're working within our philanthropic networks to learn about their funding opportunities and priorities. We're working within our MOCA cluster, our government agencies, to learn of all of their grant opportunities. And once we have that we coalesce it and get it all together, we put it into a format and then we blast it through our Gov delivery, and we also make it available through our website.
I do want to say I would like to see it marketed better.
Okay.
Because when you go to the site, you have to go through a lot, and then you got to click different sections, and it sometimes it's all compiled in there.
Sure.
And I'm not going to say I go there a lot. I've been there a few times.
Okay.
But I send people there, and they almost certain they call me back trying to figure out where it is.
Okay.
Because it's like there's so many different agencies and so many types of alerts that you have to click to be able to get information back to you. And so it's categorized, which I like that part. But DC government websites are not the best to navigate. And I know that's a little bit beyond you. I just wanted to note that.
Sure. We are also working, council member, to your point. We blast it out to anyone who is signed on to our info email info's address, but then also, and we can do a better job of this, having our partners to also be able to use it and blast it to their audiences. So even if you don't receive it from us, some of our partners will also have that information, and you could receive it that way as well.
Okay, got it. Can you elaborate on the types of careers in emergency management that could be available to DC youth?
Sure. So I think there are many possibilities. Certainly some of our MPD, our fire and EMS, but then also on a federal level, there's also FEMA, there's HCMA. So those are some of the more traditional ones. We also know that emergency community resilience can also be a part of civic engagement quality career opportunities. So there are focuses within the philanthropic world that are around emergency preparedness. It can help you to be able to be a volunteer manager. So there's many possibilities within emergency preparedness that really can create a career path for young people.
Talk about volunteerism. How many previous grantees did volunteerism generate funds, and did the fund give out?
Could you repeat that question for me?
So how many previous grantees did the Volunteerism Generation Fund fund? That fund.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying fund a lot of times, but it's called the Volunteerism Generation Fund.
Yeah, so we have not put that particular grant out this year just yet, but typically we have between 7 and 10 grantees within that funding opportunity.
Okay, when does that come out?
We will have it out likely between April and May.
And do you know how much should be given out in that pack?
A little over 163,000.
Okay. And so when was the last time you all gave it out?
We gave it out last in 2020.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back through that. Early in your testimony, you talked about gun violence prevention, and you mentioned the WAN's office partnering with other agencies, including AmeriCorps. What are you guys' role in that? Because I know that there are a lot of different agencies now interacting, trying to be a part of decreasing violence and increasing public safety in the district. What is ServDC role?
So our role is a kind of multifaceted. Number one, our young people, we were so proud through the SYEP program. We know that young people are directly affected by gun violence. And so through our program, we were really impressed by our young people and their resilience. And they produced two PSAs around gun violence as one of their final kind of capstone projects within that. And so we were able to work with the Office of Cable Television, and they showed that, have been sharing it, and we've also shared it with other partners. Additionally, we are working with building blocks and other government agencies to make sure that we understand the needs of their grantees, and we are designing our capacity building to make sure that we are meeting those needs. And so like next month in April, we will be hosting another series of capacity building trainings that we will directly target to those sub-grantees to make sure that they have the sustainability and capacity building to be able to thrive. So that's another way that we are addressing gun violence. And then the last I will mention that I shared before is that we are hoping that AmeriCorps can also be another solution for these quality of programs and community-based organizations, and that we can really increase their capacity by having those AmeriCorps members to be a part of their program.
I was muted. Thank you. Did you all, I'm assuming you all got additional money through the American Rescue Plan?
We are anticipating, yes.
And so you haven't not received it at all yet?
So we have not implemented some in our budget just yet. We are planning, it's a fiscal 23 that we will be getting those funds.
Okay. Do you know about how much you would get?
I don't know exactly. AmeriCorps funds and American Rescue works a little differently, but those are the funds that we're anticipating to expand our formula portfolio, and then also some of our commission support grant, which helps to provide just the things that we need within our commission, within this office, and also some of our training, PDAT and our CSG fund.
What commission are you referring to?
So we are one of many across the country. We are the District's Commission on National and Community Service. So that's how we fund or do the AmeriCorps program.
Okay. And you're going to take this American Rescue money to fund that? Is that what I'm hearing?
So we're going to hope to expand our formula. That's what I was speaking about, hoping to have a gun violence prevention, hoping to provide additional funds through our formula. And then also I'm hoping to provide additional capacity building to our nonprofits and to our programs through our commission support grants.
I want to dial up. Could you use some creative words? Like, we want to expand our formula. In layman's terms, what does that mean?
Sure. And I appreciate that question. So our formula is really, our grant is a formula, and it's typically designed around how many residents we have. So our funding matches dollar for dollar how many residents we have within the district. But with the American Rescue Funds, our hope is to be able to expand that. We will have additional funds. And so we will be able to expand that formula grant opportunity.
Do you all host any events in which you give out information to the public through maybe a virtual form or in person outside of just the website? And if so, what does that look like?
We do. So we actually just did an information session on this grant a couple of weeks ago. We have an FAQ that we have published that we could share around how to apply, around more about just AmeriCorps in general. And then we also make it available on our website and our YouTube page. So folks who were not able to join in, they have the availability to watch it at their own leisure.
Thank you. Do you know how many people you are reaching through these info sessions?
So the last info session that we had roughly about 50 participants again, but we continue to do outreach around it. So we are making sure that that everyone has availability to this info session.
So I know at some points you guys partner with my office as I did a few things in the community. Are there other avenues that you partner with other agencies or organizations to get information out as well outside of this recent thing you did with 50 people?
We do. So are you talking specifically about this grant or just in
Not
general?
just this grant, I'm just talking about funding in general. And it goes back to the premise of I got a lot of organizations, most are east of the river.
Right.
Some work east of the river, but it's housed somewhere else. They just service here in
Mhm.
Ward 8 or
Mhm.
Ward 7. I'm gonna have to change that because Ward 8 not gonna necessarily be east of the river anymore. All right, cool. And so they contact my office or they see me in public and they
Mhm.
trying to get information. And I was trying to, the question was in general, how are you getting information out to the public outside of this? The website, you mentioned one event that you just had about this particular funding and FAQ
Mhm.
issuance. So just in
So
general.
I think what we do is kind of again, a multifaceted, anytime we have an event around our emergency management or emergency preparedness, around anything that we do, our volunteerism, we are making sure that we are present and that we are giving them the full kind of cadre of what our offerings are. So we table at a lot of events. We ask for folks to sign up for our to receive our newsletter. We are partnering with other organizations, as you mentioned, some of our intra-district sister organizations, and then, greatly around the region to make sure that people understand the offerings of Serve DC. So I think we do, in person. I think we do a lot of email blast. We again partner with our MOCA agencies to further amplify that, and also external partners to make sure that folks have access to the information that we are hoping to provide.
Got it. I do want to note, Director,
Mhm.
and try to build a better communication line
Okay.
between your office and the committee. We did get your testimony last night, and only had one line for the budget. And being a government agency, we have to dig a little deeper and get more information.
Sure.
There's tax dollars in which we all have to be accountable for. And so we will talk offline how to better communicate that and address that. And I know you are not a big agency, but do a lot of work in the community and also about connecting people to government. And as you know, there are a lot of people in DC who may or may not feel connected to government, and your office has the opportunity to dispel those myths by getting people more involved.
Sure.
I run into people all the time that say, I just want to give back. I just want to do something in my community,
Right.
and I know you do as well.
Right.
And I feel like we have to create a bridge to help them do just that. Um, and I don't know if you know, but um, we were trying to get a nonprofit incubator hub
Okay.
in DC.
Okay.
Um, we 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 had a small one for almost 30 years that pretty much went away. And that was the United Black Fund
Okay.
that worked in partnership with United Way, but pretty much a lot of different organizations, and serves as a space where people can set up their nonprofit, their office, to share their computers, share desks, share accountants, share lawyers, in partnership with the Center for Nonprofit Advancement.
Yes.
And it is my hope that we can get something like that again, as we see, especially young people in the District of Columbia struggling. And I don't want to even say the aftermath of the pandemic because we're still in it, but in the learning loss we've seen in DC and the
Mhm.
rise in crime in around youth and young adults. And we know that there are people in the community on the ground trying to fill those gaps, but not necessarily knowing where to go and where to start. So that's critically important to us using government to empower community.
Absolutely. I think that is one of our, to get those resources to those who deserve it and who need it is one of our primary goals. So yes, would love to hear more.
Okay. I think that's about it. All I have for today, Director. And so I want to thank you for your testimony. We missed the public witness today, the one that we did have, and so we'll jump into our next government agency, which is the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. Thank you, Director. Have a blessed day.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Yep. Next up, we have MOLA, which is the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. And its mission is to improve the quality of life of Latino residents of DC by addressing a broad range of social and economic needs through strategic management, public and private partnerships, supporting the creation of policies, promoting community relations, civic engagement, and community-based grants. We heard in the public oversight hearings from so many organizations that's been thriving, that's been beneficiaries of the grant, former beneficiaries of some of the grants, that's been really in the Latino community doing tremendous work, from after school programs to teaching, through housing, etc. And I think that's what's really needed, especially during this pandemic, where people feel disconnected from life and just daily services. And so we will start today with our public witnesses and then move on to our government witnesses. We will start with Joseph Leitman from Santa Cruz, Ava Todd, David Diaz, Jeanette Notinius, Tatiana Ramirez, and Maya Gaskin. We can elevate all those to the panel if they are here. If you are here in the chat and you hear your name, raise your hand through the raise your hand feature, and my staff will elevate you to the hearing. Good morning, everyone. We'll start with you, Joseph.
Good morning, Mr. Chairperson and members of the committee, as well as staff. My name is Joseph Leitman, Santa Cruz, and I have the honor and pleasure of being the CEO and Executive Director of the DC-based nonprofit Capital Area Asset Builders, better known as CAB. This year, we're proudly celebrating 25 years of primarily providing financial empowerment throughout the District of Columbia, but intentionally focusing on providing access to prosperity to low-income Washingtonians, primarily from wards 5, 7, and 8. So it's great to see you, council member, and thank you for the leadership to ensure that every Washingtonian has access to opportunity and prosperity. Today, it's my honor to provide testimony regarding the partnership that CAB has with the DC Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, MOLA, and in support of MOLA's FY23 budget. The work that we do together with MOLA directly addresses and minimizes the racial wealth gap throughout the district, and primarily provides an opportunity for all Washingtonians to know about how to access resources, how to have access to money, and how to achieve long-term prosperity. CAB currently partners with MOLA to link low to moderate income members of the Latinx community in the District of Columbia with information, resources, and money to achieve financial stability and build wealth. Councilmember White, I'm extremely proud to share with you, as we discussed a few weeks ago, that several members throughout Ward 8 and more than 350 residents in the District of Columbia have participated in the other program that CAB manages, the DC Opportunity Accounts Program. And through the partnership we have with MOLA, we ensure that all Washingtonians, regardless of their country of origin, regardless of their immigration status, are fully aware of wealth creation activities like the DC Opportunity Accounts Program. Directly speaking, when it comes to the work that we do with MOLA, thanks to the financial support that we receive from MOLA, we're able to have a year-round educational campaign in Spanish called DC Ahorra y Prospera, DC Saves and Prospers. Through this initiative, we have earned media, paid media, social media, in-person events, hybrid events, virtual events, where we are linking the Latinx community in DC to banking resources, budget resources, and financial resources. Given the ongoing pandemic and the significant socioeconomic challenges primarily being faced by our low-income Black and Brown brothers and sisters, we need to ensure that programs like this continue to not only exist, but thrive. We need to ensure that every single Washingtonian is given the opportunity to truly have access to prosperity. Councilmember White and the rest of the committee, we all know that poverty is a public policy choice. I'm extremely proud to be partnering with MOLA, with Mayor Bowser and the DC Council, because we know that Washington, DC has the financial resources to lift every Washingtonian out of poverty and keep them out of poverty. And that is why we're extremely thankful for the leadership of Director Perdomo in ensuring that all of the MOLA grantees know of the different resources that we can have access to so that all of us can do a better job in serving Washingtonians. Again, regardless of what ward they live in, regardless of their color of the skin, regardless of their race, ethnicity, country of origin, or their immigration status. Lastly, Councilmember White, I ask that you please support and continue to advocate on behalf of programs like this so that we can give an opportunity to all Washingtonians to really be given a shot at prosperity. I would like to thank the leadership at MOLA and especially Director Perdomo, because we have seen proactively how he gets involved in the community. We're always grateful to see the team MOLA throughout DC, especially during the pandemic, because they have ensured that folks have access to information in English and in Spanish to know what can be done regarding COVID tests, regarding the vaccine, regarding ERAP, regarding transportation needs, and so many other services. So we definitely appreciate the opportunity to serve all Washingtonians through the partnership with MOLA. We appreciate Councilmember White's leadership on this key topic, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ava Todd.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Good morning, Chairperson White and the Committee on Recreation, Library, and Youth Affairs. My name is Ava Todd, and I'm the Community Outreach Manager at Junior Tennis Champion Center, also known as JTCC in College Park, Maryland. For the last 7 years, MOLA has generously supported our Game On program, which delivers free grassroots tennis and educational instruction to youth ages 5 to 11 in Washington, DC. The goals of our program are to provide a fun, safe, and healthy out-of-school activity for children, and also to provide additional training opportunities at low to no cost for motivated student athletes. The fall session of our Game On program reached over 100 youth across 3 DC public schools with high Latinx student enrollment. And I had the opportunity to testify about this fall session at the hearing on January 20th. We are now in the first of our 2 spring sessions of tennis and education, and we're operating at 4 sites in Washington, DC: Whittier Elementary School, Thompson Elementary School, Tacoma Elementary School, and Marie Reed Bilingual Elementary. These schools have an average Latinx student enrollment of 40%. And thanks to MOLA's support, approximately 130 students in these schools are participating in introductory tennis and educational enrichment activities. Both our on-court and classroom lessons emphasize the development of character skills, including honesty, resilience, discipline, and teamwork, meaning that participants are growing as athletes, as students, and as people through our program. 30 of these aforementioned 130 students have been selected by their coaches to receive scholarships into continued tennis training at our facility in College Park. Invitations to these students and their families will be sent out this week, and we hope to see all 30 of them in further tennis training at JTCC starting next month, and we're very excited about that. For the remainder of this grant cycle, funds from MOLA will continue to support the delivery of tennis and educational enrichment activities to another 300 DC youth in spring and summer 2022 across schools and recreation centers with high enrollment of Latinx students. Funds from MOLA offset the cost of coach and teacher salaries, as well as the purchase of equipment for our program, including tennis balls, rackets, nets, and school supplies for the educational activities. MOLA continues to share JTCC's dedication to ensuring all children, regardless of race, ethnicity, or financial situation, have quality educational and athletic opportunities. And the training that MOLA's funding supports provides them the opportunity to earn college athletic scholarships and attend the college of their choice at low to no cost. We're grateful to MOLA for their ongoing support of our Game On program and to our mission of tennis for everybody. And I welcome any questions that the committee may have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we have from David Diaz.
Hi, good morning. You have me instead. My
Okay.
name is Griselle Size.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm speaking for David this morning. Good morning, Council Member White and your team, and also the Mayor's Office of Latin Affairs and the team. My name is Griselle Size, and I am the Director of Grants and Programs for the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber. We appreciate the opportunity to address you today. For over 45 years, the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has been a resource for the DC Metro small business, Latino, and BIPOC communities. The Chamber strives to promote the continuous improvement of the good and the quality of life in the community through the pursuit of new business, the cultural, social, and economic education of our citizens. What we do is we provide accurate and timely assistance to our community. Our mission is to provide the tools and resources for small businesses to achieve long-lasting, sustainable growth. Through the generosity of this grant received from the Mayor's Office of Latin Affairs, the Chamber has been able to offer free technical assistance to startups, those newly in business, and those who have struggled to maintain and operate their businesses, particularly in the last 2 years. There is not a single business or shop in our community that has not been affected by the pandemic in some way. Many have had to adapt to keep their doors open and to keep their employees and customers safe. There have been 235 permanent brick and mortar business closures in DC, not counting the businesses that still remain temporarily closed. More than 36,000 residents in the districts have been unemployed. In the wake of the pandemic, however, micro businesses are booming in DC. The majority of new businesses, about 57%, are established by solopreneurs, solo founders, and about 2/3 of these look to business as their main or supplementary source of income. With the grant monies we receive, we've been able to produce educational programs with subject matter experts to help small businesses cope with the changing landscape, as well as to take advantage of the multitude of opportunities available. Approximately 2,640 people registered for our business boot camp in February, where we covered topics on licensing, how to prepare and compete for government contracts, how to promote business using social media, and on cybersecurity, the new small business threat. And also in January, 335 persons registered for a webinar on access to capital. To date, we have provided one-on-one assistance to more than 55 minority businesses. In keeping with the 2022 theme of financial literacy for small business, we've been able to provide QuickBook trainings and give away QuickBook licenses to help our businesses owners track and understand their financials. Without these monies received, we will not be able to offer these services. This month, the Chamber just held its annual expo at the Convention Center. We had over 100 businesses participate in the event. As part of this event, we did have a small business village. That business village was an opportunity to have businesses that could not afford a booth be provided one at no charge. Also during the expo, we hosted a picture business competition with 17 business owners competing for bragging rights and a grand prize of a new laptop. Again, keeping with the financial literacy thing. A speed networking section was also held with over 50 businesses participating. Lots of wonderful partnerships formed and contacts made. Your continued support is needed to ensure the viability and security of our community. This pandemic is an opportunity to shape new business models, and for those new and existing businesses, our partnership with the Mayor's Office of Latin Affairs assures us that we can, through our partnership, continue with this work. I welcome any questions, and again, we thank you so much for your support.
Thank you. Now we will have Jeanette Notenius.
Yes, good morning, council member
Morning.
and your team and committee. It is a pleasure for me to address you this morning. I am Jeanette Notenius. I'm president and founder of a 100% volunteer organization, the Salvadoran Cultural Institute. And it was really a pleasure to hear the importance of volunteers. And as a volunteer organization, our mission is to educate, promote, and celebrate Salvadoran cultural arts, as well as Salvadoran Americans and all Latinos arts and contributions to this nation. One of the things that we do is we have art exhibits, support theaters, support poets, writers, and we partner with existing organizations like Gala Hispanic Theater, Teatro de la Luna, Carlos Rosario International School. We also work with universities, with local DC public schools, as well as private charter schools. And we, thanks to the funds from MOLA, we are able to bring poets and writers directly in contact with the community. And this stimulates people to not only continue learning Spanish and celebrating Spanish, making bilingualism an essential part of the city. We believe that having Spanish in your life can also be an economic driver, especially with a city like Washington, DC, with such high tourism. I am delighted that you are also here representing the DC Public Libraries and the Library Committee, because for the last 5 years, we've been trying to partner with the DC Public Libraries. But by the way, I really applaud the fact that you have remodeled so many libraries. They look absolutely gorgeous. They are there to receive the people. Now it's a gorgeous, beautiful box. What I'm hoping to do is to fill it with Salvadoran and Salvadoran American writers, as well as local writers. We have one of them right here as one of our pride and joy writers, Tatiana Figueroa Ramirez, who's also testifying today. I just want to say that it's very hard to get books written by local writers as well as Latino writers into the DC public library system. It's like, remember how it was that all books were not representative of the DC community. We didn't have African-American writers for the children to see themselves reflected as a way of stimulating them to move forth and to have mentors and role models. The same situation is with Latino communities. We really encourage the library to open their hearts and open their minds to the great wealth of production in Latino writers and in the DC area, as well as all throughout Latin America and the Latinx community, bilingual writers. So I just want to say we are very thankful to the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs for their support the last 3 years. We have had to go online and suddenly our numbers have exploded. Last year in Facebook, we were able to serve 88,000 people, which took us by surprise. We now are in YouTube as well as in Facebook. Today is World Poetry Day. And we have partnered with poets all over the world. And as we speak, we have hundreds of poets for 24 hours sharing their poetry in every language in our Facebook page. So you can see that in essence, this little window right here has been a boombox for arts and culture in the city in a moment in which people really need it a lot because the pandemic has kept people indoors. And that's not very good. Now that we are opening up, we hope to do more direct services with the community once again, and to be able to bring poets and writers into the DC public library system, as well as the schools. So I want to thank you for the support that MOLA receives and its director, Eduardo Perdomo, as well as how we are all promoting the development of bilingualism as a way of supporting the city and economic development, as well as cultural development. Thank you very much. And we hope that that the mayor's office will receive the funding it requests. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And I'm glad I got your last name right as much as I could.
Oh, you got it. You got it. You got it. Noltanius, that's very good.
I try.
I know you're trying, and I think that's wonderful. I really welcome the committee and all the work that you're doing to make the city the wonderful city it is, and we love to live here and support it and make it shine.
Yes, no, thank you. We can't do it without our partners. I overemphasize that each and every day.
Well, that's what volunteers are about. You know, we need volunteerism, and I think that the more we stimulate it, and we can create that sense of community and community responsibility, which is really the goal here. And now we're in it together. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Tatiana Figueroa Ramirez.
Thank you, council member. That was great. And thank you for the shout out, Jeanette. So good morning, everybody. I'm Tatiana Figueroa Ramirez and the Associate Director, Creative Writing for DC Scores. Since 1994, DC Scores has provided free high-quality out-of-school time programming to more than 25,000 children in DC public and public charter schools. This school year, we have returned to full in-person.
Are you at a stationary computer?
What was that?
Are you at a stationary computer?
I'm on a laptop right now. Yeah.
Okay, because the service is really bad. I'm not sure if you're in a bad service area, but it's real choppy. We can hear you, but we have to really strain to comprehend you.
Okay, I see. Let me reach out to my tech person to see if he can help out really quickly.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. Ms. Maya Gaskins.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to say good morning to Councilmember White and other members of the committee. My name is Maya Gaskins, and I serve Jubilee Housing as Director of Resident Services. Thank you so much for this opportunity today to testify before you regarding the critical need for increased investment in supporting our Latino community members. If you aren't aware, Jubilee Housing was founded in 1973, and we work to build diverse, compassionate communities that create opportunities for everyone to thrive. We're committed to creating justice housing, deeply affordable housing, and thriving neighborhoods with supportive services on site and within walking distance. With strong financial support from the city, Jubilee is preparing to double its affordable housing portfolio in the coming year. We commend the mayor's proposed FY 2023 budget increase to $500 million for the Housing Production Trust Fund, along with sufficient funding for the local rent supplement program. We encourage the DC Council to approve this budget request to move forward with the pipeline of new and existing affordable housing projects, and we hope that this influx of needed funds will become the new normal. In addition to housing, Jubilee, we also provide an array of supportive services. The Resident Services Department that I lead provides assistance to residents to maintain stabilization of their houses, resource navigation, case management, wraparound services, and we also do community-wide events. Jubilee Housing has a significant monolingual Spanish-speaking population. 45% of our residents and service recipients are Hispanic, and 19% of those residents have designated Spanish as their primary language. We're dedicated to language justice by ensuring Spanish-speaking residents can participate in Jubilee-sponsored activities, access services, and feel a sense of belonging to the community, of course. This requires an investment to ensure translation of documents and to make interpretive services available for residents who are Spanish-speaking only. We at Jubilee Housing greatly appreciate MOLA's previous support of our work since 2016. This assistance from MOLA currently helps resident services provide individualized assistance to families navigating financial challenges, including financial empowerment counseling, eviction prevention, benefit checkups for seniors who qualify for entitlements, and financial literacy for young students and Latino adults in a one-on-one setting. This year, 14% of individual sessions held were conducted in or translated in Spanish. We also had 2 group sessions translated into Spanish. We would love to grow that support to reach more residents. More assistance with translation and interpretive services are definitely needed, either by supporting current services or providing funds to hire new multilingual staff members. Jubilee is also in the process of acquiring 3 new buildings through the TOPA property acquisition, and about 75% of those new residents are monolingual Spanish speakers who will need additional casework assistance. For these Spanish-speaking residents to feel included in our community, increased commitments to supporting language justice are needed. The mayor's proposed budget includes a 2.3% reduction in MOLA's budget from the current fiscal year. We recommend that the FY23 budget be funded at or above the existing year's budget in order to ensure full inclusion of our Latino and Spanish-speaking residents. As the city embarks on a critical review of all the new legislation through a racial equity lens, we believe that ensuring our low-income residents have access to affordable housing and services is one of the most important strategies to address racial equity. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify today and for your ongoing commitment to the Latino community of our city, who rely on many critical programs funded by MOLA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Is Ms. Ramirez back available? If you see, guys, if you see her in the waiting room, could you elevate her back? And I see that the speakers just got taken off the screen. And I'm not sure what that's about, but we have follow-up questions.
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. So again, my name is, join as a panelist. Perfect.
Okay. Go right ahead.
Good morning, everybody. So again, my name is Tatiana Figueroa Ramirez. I'm the Associate Director for Creative Writing at DC Scores. Since 1994, DC Scores has provided free, high-quality, out-of-school time programming to more than 25,000 children in DC public and public charter schools. This school year, we have returned to full in-person programming at over 60 public school partners for 3,000 elementary and middle school aged children across the district. Being part of DC Scores builds kids' physical fitness and social emotional well-being during this time when they need it the most. We are a proud partner of the Mayor of Office of Latino Affairs, and this year, MOLA is supporting our Latino participants. Over the last several years, we have seen an increase in the budget for MOLA, but this year there is a decrease. Particularly concerning is the decrease to community-based services, which includes grant making. We support restoring and even increasing the funds for grant making and grant making support in the fiscal year 23 budget. As we continue to support our Latino community in the face of continued uncertainty due to the pandemic and ongoing racial injustice, MOLA and DC Scores are crucial partners to make sure we are supporting our young Latinx poet athletes and their families. Over the last 4 years, DC Scores, in partnership with MOLA, has been focused on increasing our engagement with Latinx parents. Our poet athletes' parents have taught us the importance of creating a safe and inclusive environment, not only for the poet athletes, but for the whole family. We have created a mobile-friendly Spanish language website, informational videos in Spanish featuring DC Scores parents and coaches alongside staff, restructured Spanish language parent surveys, convened focus groups of Latinx parents, and formed a parent advisory council. Our goal: eliminate any language and cultural barriers that prevent any parent or family member from playing an active role in their child's program participation, and provide greater opportunities for parents and family members to be a part of their child's educational journey. We also are taking steps to ensure our events offer a welcoming environment for everyone, and it's working. We are seeing more Latinx parents coming to their kids' games and game days and poetry slams as a result. For example, a LaSalle Bacchus Education Campus parent shared with us that being part of DC Scores has made her child more enthusiastic about school, and that attending DC Scores events together has helped improve her family's bond like never before. I have seen firsthand the power of our MOLA supported programming to bring together our participants, their families, and their school communities. Perhaps the most profound way I can share the impact of MOLA support is through the words of Isabela, a DC Scores poet athlete at Sosa Middle School in Ward 7. There's no mystery that I'm different. I'm hated instead of loved, treated differently instead of equally. Am I really that different though? Why do I get stares? All you can see is the fake me, the Spanish girl. Ella no es yo, sabe a lo que me refiero. Look at me. No, I was born here. Yeah, I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. You see me. I like that I'm a mystery that can't be puzzled by society. That's why I'm different. That's why I'm a mystery. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Need some snaps for that. I'm gonna jump back up real quick. Mr. Joseph Santa Cruz, there he is. All right, real quick, can you go into details about your DC Saves and Prospers campaign?
I appreciate it, Councilmember White. So what we have been able to do is to provide both in-person presentations, virtual presentations about basic financial empowerment components, like why it's extremely important to have a bank account, why it's important to build credit, how it's possible to launch a business in the district, how it's possible to buy a home in the district, and then be able to provide information to service providers, primarily banks and credit unions, that regardless of the immigration status of a Washingtonian, it is legal at the national level for somebody without a social security number to still open a bank account. So thanks to MOLA support, Councilmember White, what we're able to do is also place a good number of ads throughout the region, printed ads in El Tiempo Latino and Washington Hispanic, the two biggest newspapers in Spanish in the District of Columbia. We also do a lot of radio and TV earned media engagements. And on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, we post a good number of financial empowerment related posts in Spanish and in English. So all of that is really to link and inform Washingtonians so that they can be better educated and empowered.
So real quick, for those who are watching via social media and on TV, where does someone go to get access to that information?
I appreciate it. Thank you. Our website is caab.org, caab.org. And on our Twitter handle is @CAAB_Greater DC.
Thank you. If you can also put that in the chat, that'd be helpful for us.
Thank you. I will do that.
What type of trainings do you do specifically to educate your constituents about financial empowerment?
We focus on two sets of financial empowerment. One is on what we call the basic money management, how to set up a bank account, why to have a budget, how to save, how to take advantage of savings mechanisms that either nonprofits like CAB or the DC government or other entities make available. The other one is we strongly believe that we should always see everything through the lens of the participant. So always provide dignity in the trainings that we offer. And what this means is that we do not stop only at the basic financial education level, but then we go beyond. We ask questions and provide one-on-one free financial coaching sessions in both English and Spanish. We ask questions. If you have kids, are you aware of the DC 529 plan? We ask questions. Have you set up an emergency savings fund? If the answer is no, then we work with people. And we also have an emergency savings plus product that we make available for free. Lastly, Councilmember White, we make sure that folks know of the existing ecosystem that is available in DC when it comes to first-time home buying and when it comes to launching a small business. I'm proudly sharing with you that I'll be spending most of Friday in your Ward 8. We're partnering with Taurus Phillips to provide EITC awareness information. That same day, we're also going to be having different events throughout DC, including partnering with 2 Latinx-owned small businesses. So what we believe at CAV is that if something is available in English, it should also be available in Spanish. And what we strongly believe at CAV is that we need to be linking all Washingtonians, regardless of their immigration status, with different wealth creation strategies. Lastly, council member, we continue not to hear from our clients that they are aware of HPAP. They're not aware of first-time home buying programs. They're not aware of CDFIs. They're not aware of small business technical assistance. And we know that both the DC government and nonprofits have a fantastic set of programs in the District of Columbia. So this is where making everything available in Spanish and making it to be culturally relevant is where it's very important.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm gonna jump down for the sake of time to Ms. Todd. There you go.
Hello.
Let me ask you this. Thank you for joining us. Do you go to each school to perform your trainings, or do they meet you on a tennis court or elsewhere? How are you doing these trainings?
Yes, we have our coaches travel to the schools to deliver the program so that transportation is not an issue for the students. So it occurs just like any after school program would at the school facility. Some of our sites do have tennis courts, but the majority do not based on resources. So what we do is we bring equipment such as mini nets, we bring lines and cones in order to create a tennis court in the space that the school has. So sometimes that's a playground, sometimes that's a basketball court or an outdoor cement area, and a lot of times it's an indoor gym. But we create it just like a tennis court with all the same lines and dimensions. And then when the students earn scholarships to come train at our facility, they then transition onto full-size tennis courts.
Thank you. Let me ask you this, because there is a budgetary line item for $13 million for a new tennis center. And there are several different outdoor, indoor tennis facilities. We have one here in Ward 8. And there is money to build a brand new one in Ward 8, right behind the one we have now. And it's kind of separate but equal. How do you see youth and young adults, and adults for that sake, participating in tennis across the city? Is it growing? Is it about average? Is it utilized, not utilized? What's your thoughts on that?
It's definitely growing, and I would say that COVID has actually contributed to that due to the fact that it's a socially distant sport. So when a lot of other sports were canceled due to close contact, more people were able to participate in tennis due to the social distancing. However, there are still a lot of barriers, and I would say the main barrier to participating is access to tennis courts and also access to equipment because it can be expensive to purchase the right racket size that you need and the right shoes for the courts that don't scuff up the surfacing. And a lot of times families don't have the resources to purchase that equipment. So at JTCC, we try to mitigate those barriers by providing all of the equipment to students and also providing rackets to schools to use outside of our program. So even when we're not there delivering tennis program, they still have rackets that the students can use for further practice. And if more courts are being built, I think that's fantastic. Just making sure that the students have the equipment and then have those introductory lessons so that they can build the confidence to at least feel like they can get a sense for the sport and know what they're doing a little bit when they step out there so that they can continue to improve.
Okay. And do you get funding from MOLA for this or something else?
Yes, we get funding from MOLA specifically for our after school program that runs year round. So they contribute to paying the coaches to go offsite and deliver the programming, as well as purchasing the equipment for the schools to use.
And how much of MOLA's funding make up what percentage of your entire funding?
Yeah, so the total program budget is just over $200,000, and MOLA provides us $20,000 for this fiscal year.
10%, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm looking to learn more about what you do. Do you have a website that we can go on? Or how can-
Absolutely. Our website is jtcc.org. And we have a section of our website right at the top that's labeled Community Impact. Community Impact is actually our umbrella term for all of our outreach programs. So that includes the after-school program that MOLA funds, as well as Special Olympics, wheelchair tennis, and our tennis program for military vets. So you can visit that website and learn more about the programs there.
You said wheelchair tennis?
Yep.
Okay. Where's that taught at?
That's at our facility in College Park.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we run weekly free clinics for wheelchair tennis athletes, that's youth and adults, as well as weekly Special Olympics clinics and clinics for military veterans, all at no cost.
Thank you. And I can hear my English teacher saying for the prepositional phrase when I say taught at. Yeah, my teacher.
No worries.
Shout out to Gardenia Blakeney. Okay, thank you. Can you put your website in the chat as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I'll jump to Ms. Sayers.
Yes, hello.
Hello. You spoke a little bit about in your testimony about providing technical support. Can you give me a little information on what that looks like?
Right. The program is Sbta, Small Business Technical Assistance. And basically what we do is we provide free, no cost service to anyone that wants to open up a business. If they need help with their permits, licensing, this last 2 years, we spent a lot of time on social media. What we found were that businesses didn't have a way to charge people. They were not technologically, they just weren't in tune. So just having people learn how to use the PayPals and the Venmos of the world. But so basically what we do is we provide those services through, have consultants on hand. So I have about 20 consultants at my disposal in all areas with subject matter expertise. So for example, you would ask for assistance with your business and we would pair you up with that individual that has that specific knowledge for your needs.
Thank you. And I see that we indeed during the pandemic lost some of the businesses.
Correct.
Are we still in touch with those businesses at all? And if so, to what capacity?
So some of them have completely left. I mean, the phone is shut down. They didn't have websites. That was another issue, right? So they didn't have any way to communicate to people, hey, we're just, on pause and we're going to come back. So I don't know that there's any hard data right now. I wish there was, but I can tell you that some people have completely left. Other people that were on temporary hold that were able to pivot or shift to a more digital presence or more digital delivery are doing quite well. And there are just a plethora of opportunities right now. They just need to get refocused and then really shift gears and leave the past behind.
What are some of the biggest supports that you all have seen needed and ways that you could be helpful during the pandemic outside of our normal needs of the Hispanic community?
I don't understand the question. Can you?
So, I mean, we know that typically businesses need technical support, may need wraparound services, may face some language barriers, may need access to financing, things like that, or find space. And
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out what additional needs have you guys seen during the pandemic that was different than normal needs?
Financial. There were a lot of grants available out there. SBA had the EIDL loans, PPP loans. What happened was, particularly for the Latino and minority communities, they were just not ready, financially speaking. They did not keep records. A lot of them didn't have any kind of software system, if you will. Some of them hadn't even filed taxes. So a lot of it was not that there wasn't enough funds available, but that they just were not prepared financially. A lot of folks, especially when they're starting out of the small business, think that their personal credit does not affect the business, and it does. So we've had to regroup and really go back to the fundamentals and the foundation of financial literacy, understanding your credit, understanding how your business credit works. But the biggest need that we have seen, and that's why we're doing a lot with QuickBooks classes. That's what we want to do is we want to give people, arm them with the tools so that they can be ready.
Got it. Thank you. That's helpful for me. I appreciate you and the work you guys are doing. I look forward to continue to partner with you guys to making sure that our office have what they need so we can get the community what you guys. That's important. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Notinius?
Yes, I'm right here. How can I help you?
I wanted to know from you, why has it been difficult for the Honduran and local office to be included in DC Public Library? What's the pushback or barriers to that?
Well, there are lots of barriers. First of all, DC Public Libraries has a standard group of purchasers for books, and they tend to be the big purchasers that do not think about the little guy, the editorials and the books that are specifically related to communities like the Salvadoran community, the Honduran community, the Central American community. And so they don't know how to purchase those books. They don't have the mechanisms to go deeply and purchase them because of their own regulatory processes. Another thing that's happening is that it's like, once you have a standard books that you want to have, then it's very difficult for people to think outside of the box. You know what I mean? Think and so they have barriers to that. On top of that, many of the books are in Spanish. Then you don't have people within the library system that can quote unquote vet them, you know? So, and also the DC Public Libraries doesn't have a mechanism to accept donated books. For instance, I am willing to bring from El Salvador the standard books that are there published by the government, but they can't receive them because they have a mechanism that says, do not accept donated books. And so it's like, okay, the only way to do it, and we're working on it. As a matter of fact, we're working again on trying to get the DC Public Libraries to start a partnership with us. We are open to starting a partnership. So I'm trying.
I want Dr. Tracy Jackson from my staff set up a meeting with you and the director of DC Public Libraries and myself, because as you know, we have a growing Hispanic population, and we have to make sure we are inclusive and intentional about creating opportunities in our libraries. That's critical, and I'm disappointed to hear that. And I do know there are some barriers to donations. I must say, I do literacy tours throughout the summertime in my community, and sometimes I put out an ad for books, and I'm not gonna lie, people bring all these books. I have nowhere to put these books in. For a year, a little over a year, I had an office full of books, looking like I get it, but I don't want to keep people out that need access to reading materials that can help them to grow and learn and just explore the world in our libraries. And so that's important to me. So we want to set that meeting up. And so
I am definitely, I will put again my email address. It is on the testimony that I sent, but I will do that again, and my phone number. And I would be so happy. I am delighted that you are interested in this, council member. It really is great help to me.
No problem. We'll jump on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Gaskins.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for staying with us.
Yes,
Thought you-
happy to.
thought
I'm
you-
learning stuff while I'm here.
Okay, cool. Me too. Um, based on, I know you cover a variety of different things in your work, right?
Yeah.
Now, what aspects requires the most funding, and how does MOLA fit into that?
So the MOLA has been able to assist with what we target is the target for that grant is mainly around the financial empowerment piece, and we have different populations across our residents. We have senior populations, we have parent groups that we work with because we have after school programs at Jubilee Housing as well. And what happens is with such a robust variety of population, we want to be able to make sure that our Latino residents are able to participate. And so when we're having Zooms, we have to pay for interpreters. When we're having meetings, we're having to pay for interpreters. We want to make sure that they know that they're included and welcomed by making sure all the literature that we distribute or the flyers that we distribute are in English and in Spanish. And being that we do, we have a small staff, and with a nonprofit, that we're committed to it, but it's challenging for us to be able to know that we're going to be able to always afford to do so. And we certainly won't want that to ever be a barrier for making sure that we're inclusive. So, and what we actually asked for was tremendously cut back. And so with the fact that we're doubling in size, but there's a greater population of Latino residents in those new buildings, so we're jumping up to 75% monolingual Spanish speaking residents. And we're anticipating, what we're going to do to be able to serve them. But that winds up being a challenge with, so we've recently made an investment to hire bilingual resident services coordinators, because we need to be able to do like the ERAP applications. We need to be able to support them with that, because our goal is to make sure that in our department that we have 0 evictions for residents. And so we serve them with utility assistance, and we're inheriting in these buildings, some families that has some major challenges, and they didn't have a resident services kind of department set up there. They're just, tenants in a building, but we look to serve them in a different way. And I would say that that's probably one of our biggest challenges, making sure we can provide bilingual services.
Got it. Totally understand that.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Have you seen more affordable housing for Latino families since you begun your work? And I asked this because I was in Columbia Heights, I want to say Wednesday or Thursday, and I spoke to a lady who was asking me about housing, and I didn't have answers to where she can go directly, and so I put her in contact with a few people who can help her. And I saw, I guess her daughter went to bail. I'm only assuming because I've seen all the kids coming from bail around that time, and it's around the corner. And I know we're dumping money into what is called so-called affordable housing. And I was at a forum yesterday, and I heard the mayor say again about $1 billion. I just don't know how it's affecting all people, and is it reaching the areas needed the most? And I wanted to ask that. I'm asking you because you're right here, but I wanted to inquire about that so I can have a better answer of what's happening throughout the city as it relates to pockets of affordable housing for all residents of the District of Columbia.
Well, I can probably speak more to what Jubilee Housing is doing. With the fact that we're going to be doubling in size, what our organization has done is made an investment in trying to expand the amount of affordable housing available. And we're directly in Ward 1. And so we are acquiring, like I said in my testimony, 3 new TOPA buildings where that is adding additional. So if people are opting to leave, that will open up additional units, which they do have the option to do so. But we also have 4 building projects in the neighborhood. And with that, we're, like I said, when we're our portfolio, that's going to be a huge pack on my department if we're doubling the amount of residents that we're serving within the next 2 years. So I can speak to what I know Jubilee Housing is trying to do, and trying to make sure that since we have a 49-year history in the neighborhood, what can we do to make sure that Mario Bowser's investment in the community, we're able to kind of lead the charge in the community we're already serving. But that will open up some opportunities for others. And we do on our website actually have interests if people are interested, because we have a significant waiting list. But once these things start opening up, people are able to go on our website and kind of put themselves in there as interested in housing as it makes itself available.
Thank you. And you said 4 housing projects. Are these new projects coming up, or these are existing projects?
So they're existing buildings that we're slated to improve on those properties so that they're inhabitable. So there's not currently people living in some of those buildings, and it's on the Calorama Street, like KEB Church. We acquired the KEB Church and the building adjacent to it, and there's actually in the process, which is really exciting, we actually have an aquaponics project for one of those buildings, which means we'll have the only urban farm here in DC once that project is completed, which will also help with something that that COVID really exposed for us, is food access. That was one, food insecurity wound up being a big issue in our community. And this is kind of hoping to not only create opportunities for us to have fresh food in our community, but then also as a partially retail, also be able to keep the nonprofit part of our organization and continuing to be able to offer the services that we do, because we also have a significant returning citizens work that we do at Jubilee Housing as well.
So let me ask you this. What is the level of affordability of these projects that you are renovating or putting back together for the community? And are you getting any money from the government as relates to permanent supportive housing, vouchers, or housing production trust fund dollars?
So I know there's several different, so some families are able to qualify for like the LRSP. There are some permanent supportive housing. I can get you specifics on the various funding streams that are allowing residents to have affordable rents. A good portion of our residents in the community are at or below a 30% median income. And 2/3 of our residents are at 60% or below. So, but they're not like HUD buildings or anything like that. They're primarily some of the city's funding to support low-income residents.
Got it.
But I can make sure that I send you the specifics of the various funding streams that the affordable housing is, how it's being provided.
Thank you. And can you leave your name, email, and contact information as well?
Yes, sir. And the chat is good?
That's up to you. I don't know if you want where I can reach you.
Yes, I can actually send it to who he's provided the testimony to. Would that work?
Perfect.
Yes. Okay.
And last question. How do people get in? What's the requirement to get in? I heard you say you're gonna make slots more available and get the word out there.
What we do is right now we keep an interest. We allow people to fill out interest forms on our Jubilee. I'll actually put that in the chat. The jubileehousing.org, our website. There is a place where people can put themselves down as interested in housing, so that they have an opportunity to hear about when these openings will begin to be processed. Because obviously these are projects that are in the process of construction. And I believe we recently got approved for the next step of underwriting for one of our building projects. So there's different projects going on. The Topo ones are also going to be renovated. So they're not going to be in the same condition that they were purchased in. They're going to be all upgraded, all new upgrades for those buildings. And but the actual purchase of those buildings should be finalized sometime around September. So those are 3 buildings plus other construction projects. But in order to kind of keep people being able to let us know that they're interested in the housing, we're kind of using our website as a way for people to show their interest so that they have the potential to be considered for some of those places as they open up.
Thank you. And I'm sorry to keep asking questions, but more you talk,
you're fine.
more I think. And I know I'm over my time. I don't see the clock, but I know I'm allocated 10 minutes and I want to be respectful and
Sure.
the steward of this hearing. But I did want to ask, where are these housings? I want to say projects per se, but these
The
developments,
buildings.
where are they located?
So we're in Ward 1, Adams Morgan, Columbia Heights. And so we have buildings in various streets in that neighborhood of Euclid, Ontario, Colorama, Columbia Road, 16th Street. Where else? Fuller, off of Mozart. So they're all concentrated in a specific Ward 1, Columbia Heights, Adams Morgan, primarily neighborhood. Originally, almost 50 years ago, it was just 2 buildings. So our portfolio has grown significantly as we've wanted to be able to expand justice housing in our community.
Thank you. I appreciate that information.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
I know we had someone and we lost them. Did they come back? Was that Miss Ramirez?
I'm here.
Okay. Can you go into details real quick about your poet athletes program?
Yes, absolutely. So it's an after-school program that we have completely free of charge to students and all participants. We have different seasons throughout the year that have different focuses, but it all revolves around service learning, poetry, and soccer. So in our fall season, we focus on poetry and soccer, where our poet athletes are in teams and they play soccer together. There's a soccer league, they have a soccer championship, but then they're also competing in poetry slams. So on maybe 2 days of the week, they're having soccer practice with their soccer coaches and their teammates. And then the other 2 days of the week, they are writing and they're learning about poetry with their writing coach. And they're also practicing for their performance. These are original poems that they write as well. So for example, the one that I read of Isabela, she wrote that herself. And then at the end of the season, they have the championship game, and then they also have a poetry slam where all of the schools come together to essentially perform their poems and compete for, first, second, and third place. We also have regular game days throughout the season, so it emphasizes their teamwork and their leadership. Total in a regular season, we have 3,000 students, poet athletes, that are being served. During winter programming, it's a much smaller group of students depending on what schools are available, but that is focused on soccer and nutrition, where they're learning about healthy foods, how to cook healthy foods, how to make healthy snacks, what kind of nutrition they should be ingesting. And then in the spring season, which we have just started last week, it's a combination of soccer and service learning, where the soccer functions very similarly. They're in teams, they'd have game days, and then they do a championship at the end of the season. But then with service learning, they incorporate the writing skills that they learned and emphasized in the fall season to apply that to a service learning project that they themselves research, they create, and then they actually facilitate and implement by the end of the season. So for example, we've had students that organize trash pickup days. We've had students that have anti-bullying campaigns at their schools and those sorts of things that can help them have a positive impact on their communities. We also have summer programming, which again, it's dependent on how many schools are available. We work alongside Dcps and other partners for that, where again, we're incorporating the soccer aspects and as well as the arts aspects with writing and other forms of art. So that's our regular programming that we have for after school programming. We also have other programming such as enhanced programming for our alumni who have graduated out of DC scores.
Got it. Thank you. Have you seen, I guess, an increase in services as relates to people wanting to play soccer, people interested in after school activities? I'm anticipating that school open back up, as the community open back up, the needs to be more engaged outside of sitting my son on the computer all day or on his phone all day, out and about. And if not, what are your thoughts as what we can do to enhance or advertise and get more people out?
Yes, we have seen a significant increase in, the number of folks who are interested in this, the number of different organizations and partners who are wanting to do this, especially after the pandemic. Students were on Zoom online all day, every day, and it's exhausting. And, they want to be able to interact with people in real life. They want to be outside. The weather's getting nicer now, so that's another incentive. But we have seen a significant increase in the number of students who want to participate, the parents who want their kids to participate, and schools that want to participate. And right now, we actually do have a waiting list of about 10 schools that want DC scores programming, but unfortunately, we don't have the funding and the capacity for that at the moment.
Okay, what does the funding look like for that? Not saying I have it, I'm gonna give it. I just want to know because we might think that through at some point.
I know you're not promising anything, but
I also sit on I have Department of Parks and Recs underneath my committee, and so I'm also thinking about that while I'm listening to you, because we have a lot of access to people, places, and resources that we can leverage to help you. And I know I've seen you guys all over the city, so
Yeah, I appreciate that. So the funding looks like about $25,000 per school. So that would fund a whole program at a school, after school programming and whatnot. And this would be completely free of charge for the students. So DC Scores, with that funding, we would provide all of the equipment. We would provide the stipends for coaches. We would provide curriculum, all of those resources. And that would be about 32 poet athletes per school as well.
got it. All right. Well, thank you for speaking today. We look forward to seeing how we can be helpful in our community markups. Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Kim, if you can put the clock on for me, because I know I'm going extremely over, and I know we're limited on the amount of time we have with this hearing. So that'll be helpful for me to get through the testimonies of the others who are eagerly waiting to speak. So we'll call now Stephanie Wolfe, Danny Stewart, Rebecca Medrano, Jesselyn Swartz, if you are in the waiting room and we can't see you, just raise your hand and we will elevate you. Okay, I see everyone that I called is not present, so I'll keep going. Maria Fernando Bora. Simon Lando. And Gabby Majeski. Forgive me if I pronunciate your name incorrectly, but please correct me. I would not be offended at all. All right. We can elevate those to the panel and we will begin. Is Stephanie Wolfe present?
Yes.
Yes, there she is, right there. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chairperson White. My name is Stephanie Wolfe, and I'm the Development Manager for Reading Partners DC. I am pleased to have the chance again today to speak on the great work that MOLA is doing to serve DC residents and the need to keep funding secure. Since 1976, MOLA has served the Latinx community of DC in a variety of ways, from strategic management of public and private partnerships to civic engagement and the community-based grant program like the one grant we've received since 2016. Over the last 6 years, MOLA has helped our program in multiple ways, from funding Zoom licenses to implementing our virtual curriculum, as well as tutor trainings and a diverse set of books for our students to read. This support has also strengthened our capacity to retain the experienced staff needed to manage our programs at Height and Cook elementary schools, where we're expecting to serve about 50 students this year through the grant. Prior to COVID, we were serving around 900 K through 4th grade students working to achieve grade level reading proficiency in Title I elementary schools across DC through a one-on-one literacy tutoring model that mobilizes community members to support. Due to the pandemic, we have modified our enrollment goals and are now expecting to serve closer to 600 students. And typically about 1/5 of our students are dual or more language learners. And MOLA's support has been really critical for our program. We have mentioned this before in previous testimony, but it cannot be overstated. The Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs has been an instrumental resource in ensuring that students and families are engaged in the forefront of our city's pandemic recovery efforts. We are grateful to see that the mayor continues to prioritize education in the recently released FY23 proposed budget, which includes $18 million to provide stability to schools through the Pandemic Supplement Fund, as well as $3.8 million to safeguard students' mental health. We are also hoping that such funds could be used to help build capacity to external facing entities that work closely with organizations such as ours, including the potential to increase staffing within Dcps to timely screen volunteer background checks and help prevent the recurring significant delays that have happened repeatedly this school year. We support these efforts, although we had hoped there would be a greater increase in funding for MOLA. As it stands currently, I believe there's an 8.8% increase in funding from last year for this upcoming fiscal year, as opposed to an 18% increase that happened during the fiscal year 22 budget. We know that we would not be able to deepen our impact on students and families without the support of government agencies like MOLA. And we believe that COVID-19 has highlighted the increasing demand for services that MOLA provides, and that the budget should accurately reflect this demand. We are overall very grateful for our city's leaders' current commitment to education and youth programming. And it is our hope that the DC Council can advocate for a more substantial increase in funding for MOLA, taking into account the multifaceted aspects of the pandemic and the strong partnership role that MOLA plays within our community. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Do we have Danny Stewart?
Hi, yes. Thank you, Chairperson White and members of the committee. My name is Danny Stewart, and I'm a bilingual advocate at DC Safe. DC Safe is the only 24/7 crisis intervention agency for domestic violence in Washington, DC. Last year, we supported a record number of 11,448 district residents. I'm eager to speak with you today about DC Safe's work with the Latino community and the District of Columbia, and lay out our perspective on how the city's fiscal year 2023 budget can best prioritize Latinx survivors of domestic violence. Since 2009, the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, or MOLA, has supported DC Safe's programming for Latinx survivors. MOLA funds support all of our bilingual staff members, as well as our Acción line. Acción is a dedicated hotline for Spanish speakers running to our 24/7 response line, which coordinates tangible and immediate resources for survivors in crisis, including emergency transportation, shelter placement, and more. Based on our estimated cost per client, MOLA funding currently supports 20% of our total efforts with our Latinx clients. In real terms, this means that MOLA supports about 52 out of our total 248 clients that we served last year. These numbers are interesting because despite a 57% increase in our overall client base during the pandemic, the number of Latinx clients we saw actually slightly decreased. We believe this is the direct result of the multiple ways COVID cut off access for Latinx survivors. Thankfully, now that the Domestic Violence Intake Center has reopened inside the DC Superior Courthouse, we are now seeing more Latinx survivors seeking services. I think that this speaks to the importance of in-person services, especially for Latinx clients, and the need for more Spanish speakers providing those in-person services. Because of the accessibility issues that we knew were at play for Latinx survivors during the pandemic, our executive director built upon our existing partnerships with La Clínica del Pueblo and the Family Place to conduct multiple charlas to provide information about COVID protocols at DC Safe, the courts, and various shelters. Then we obtained funding from the American Rescue Plan, and we worked with them to identify Latinx clients who would benefit from direct financial assistance. In total, we distributed about $80,000 to over 30 clients, providing flexible funds towards rental assistance, security deposits, Last year, DC Safe supported at least 140 immigrant survivors. In ways that don't involve the police presents clients with options that they are more comfortable with. Instead of calling the police, they can call our Acción line and work with an advocate to file a protection order, get emergency shelter, or connect with legal resources. I can't say enough how neutrality and separation from the legal and criminal system is not only a form of cultural sensitivity, but also an issue of safety that feels so important when serving the Latinx immigrant community. As such, fortifying that funding that is not tied to law enforcement or the criminal justice system is very important to us at DC Safe. This brings me to my final points around our budget asks for fiscal year 2023. In total, we are requesting an additional $2.5 million in support from the city. $1 million will go to the stabilization of our COVID-related expansion of services, and $1.5 million will go towards the operations of our brand new shelter facility, which is set to open this fall 2022. The new shelter facility will triple our current crisis shelter capacity, adding an additional 20 units to the city's domestic violence housing stock. In addition, we are supportive of the city replenishing the shelter fund, DC Code 4-521, to a baseline of $20 million in fiscal year 2023. The shelter fund has been almost entirely depleted since its inception in 2007, and reinvesting in it is one of the ways council can ensure reliable revenue for providers and ongoing access to housing for survivors in the district for years to come. Ultimately, we urge the council to utilize multi-agency funding to meet the needs of survivors and advocates in this city's fiscal year 2023 budget. We believe it is the best way to support an effective multidisciplinary response to domestic violence in the district. The Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs plays an important part in ensuring this response is adequate and accessible for Latinx survivors and their families. And we look forward to continuing our partnership in the fiscal year 2023. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to any questions.
Thank you. See you next. Rebecca Rodreno. Okay, I don't see Rebecca going once, one twice. Jesselyn Swartz. Okay. Maria Borja. Okay. And staff, if you see any of these individuals in the waiting room, or if you've not been recognized, raise your hand. If you don't have your under your name, so we can elevate you. Simon Landu.
Morning.
Morning.
Should I go ahead? Good to go?
Yep, go right ahead.
Great. Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Simon Landau, and I'm the COO and co-founder of Open Goal Project. We're a 501c3 organization in DC committed to using soccer as a vehicle for kids from lower income families to access growth opportunities, higher education, greater life experiences, including upward mobility and improved health outcomes. Our programs are targeted at filling the gaps that our youth face on the field and in life. In addition to high-level free competitive soccer programming, we offer free programs focused on fitness, financial literacy, college access, self-discovery, and more. For the past 2 years, we have benefited from grant funding and an ongoing partnership from the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs to support our football fitness program, one of the core programs we offer our youth. This program has been made possible by this funding and this partnership, and I'm here to advocate for providing as strong a budget to MOLA as possible for this coming year. Of the approximately 100 boys and girls we serve through this MOLA-funded program annually, about 85% are Latino, and almost all of them qualify for free and reduced lunch. 95% of the student athletes we serve are either first-generation immigrants or immigrants themselves, and the vast majority are seeking to become first-generation college students. Children in the football fitness program, which is funded by MOLA, participate in a free exercise program created by our certified professional strength and conditioning coach, empowering them to become the healthiest boys and girls they can be. As part of the program, children learn how to exercise using total body workouts, regardless of if they have access to traditional weight room equipment. This obviously, specifically coming off of COVID, was super important and impactful. I think we saw just people in our community across the country, falling behind fitness-wise and health-wise throughout the pandemic. Participants in our program learn strength and conditioning exercises to implement in the community where they live, with or without exercise equipment, ensuring our program participants are benefiting from developing a lifetime of healthy habits. These are programs that our immigrant youth simply wouldn't have access to. They wouldn't be able to afford without our program. I'm keeping an eye on the clock here. Just a few notes from family members who have spoken on behalf of the program. The opportunity that many Latinos do not have due to economic issues is given by this program and Open Goal Project, a program interested in the future of each child that is committed to each one of them improving, growing, and having discipline. Quote, a healthier way of life, more integrated in sport, companionship, discipline, effort, and teamwork. As a nationally recognized youth soccer and sport for development organization leading the fight on racial and social equity in the US youth soccer space, our organization and this specific program are crucial to the lives of the youth and families we serve. We simply could not do it without MOLA's support. As we continue to expand and have a growing list of youth interested in participating, we're deeply hopeful that support from MOLA and from the city can continue to grow and increase as well, in turn allowing us to scale to deliver even more impact. We truly advocate for continued support of the impactful work and programs like ours and all the programs that we've heard of from today in our community, providing our youth with the enriching, empowering activities and support they need throughout the year to make our city a better place. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Is Ms. Gabby Majewski here?
I am. Good morning, council member. My name is Gabby Molnick-Majewski. I am the executive director of DC Affordable Law Firm and a proud Ward 5 resident. It's an honor to join you today to speak about our collaboration with Mayor Bowser's constituency offices, but particularly the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs and other offices that have been critical to DC Affordable Law Firm's success. We are grateful for the city's investment in community and the important work that MOLA and other constituency agencies are undertaking to serve historically underserved members of our city's vibrant Latinx and other communities. At DC Affordable Law Firm, we believe everyone deserves justice and that income should not be a barrier to a family's receipt of high quality legal representation. At DCALF, our mission is to provide high quality, affordable, and accessible legal services to DC residents with unmet legal needs who do not qualify for traditional sources of free legal aid, but cannot afford costly legal representation. In DC, one out of 5 DC residents falls into this forgotten middle when it comes to civil legal services. So DCALF was founded to help bridge this gap by providing hardworking, low and modest income Washingtonians with affordable and in most cases free legal services in their hour of need. DCALF is a particularly unique organization in that all of our attorneys are top-notch graduates of the University of the District of Columbia, David A. Clark School of Law, and Georgetown University Law Center. We strive to foster the careers of the next generation of public interest attorneys while simultaneously filling a critical void as the only legal services organization catering to the legal needs of DC residents from modest and lower income households in these practice areas. Last year alone, DC Affordable Law Firm provided more than 13,600 hours of free or low-cost legal services, served more than 400 community members, and graduated our largest class of attorneys thanks to our partnership with UDC Law. And we are on track to reach or exceed these thresholds next year. At DCALF, we care for the whole person and household, and without our services, thousands of workers with lower wages would go unrepresented in court, which comes at a steep cost for the individual litigant and can lead to losses of income, custody, healthcare, safety, employment, and worse. Access to civil legal aid, it helps workers and families create stability, maintain safety, and build a better, more secure future for themselves and their households. We empower families, parents and children, non-custodial parents to stay engaged in their children's lives, protect income, allow workers to stay employed, and provide probate services for families who have lost loved ones due to COVID-19 or of other causes. The demand for our services has been steady and consistently rising throughout the pandemic. And at DCALF, more than 95% of our clients identify as BIPOC individuals, with roughly 2/3 identifying as Black and more than 1/3 of our clients identifying as Latino. Since the start of the pandemic, half of our clients have reported a full or partial loss of income, and their legal needs have only intensified, which is why we are particularly honored to deepen our ties with the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs and other constituency organizations, agencies this year, to be able to expand our capacity to offer free and accessible legal services to our client base. We have long collaborated with MOLA staff and other constituency offices for our immigration work and to deliver immigration legal services to immigrants of all backgrounds, races, and ethnicities through our Immigrant Justice Legal Services Grant, which we have been pleased to receive each year since 2017. In 2021, it was an honor to expand our work with MOLA. Specifically, we had previously collaborated with the Mayor's Office on Fathers, Men, and Boys to convene a series of virtual paternal workshops for DC fathers who had experienced challenges and disparities when trying to navigate child custody issues without legal representation. So following our work with Fathers, Men, and Boys, we were actually approached by MOLA and Director Perdomo in hopes we would partner with MOLA and adapt our Know Your Rights and practical community education sessions on DC custody laws and practices to deliberately reach members of our Latino community. So in June 2021, we partnered with MOLA and coordinated the delivery of a Spanish language custody law training for DC residents as part of Mayor Bowser's Dia de la Familia para Cardozo High School. And we are very pleased that our work with MOLA has expanded for 2022. We are now working with MOLA to deliver free family law and probate and estate planning legal services to modest income Latino residents. These are hardworking individuals who have been disproportionately harmed by the pandemic and whose households earn on average $54,000 a year for a family of 4 or $36,000 for a single parent. The need for accessible representation in both probate and family law is significant. Just to ground this conversation, 97% of community members are unrepresented in probate matters, and 83 to 93% of community members routinely appear for family law hearings without representation. So the need is significant, which is why our partnership with MOLA and other community affairs offices has been so critical in enabling us to intentionally engage the community, disseminate information, and connect community members with accessible legal services. We view this work as critically important to preserve wealth, advance equity, and empower our Latino community members. And I will share that through our work with MOLA, we have been able to serve clients like Ms. P, a Latina mother of 4 seeking a divorce from her abusive ex, and including property dissolution and a fair and equitable arrangement that would safeguard the well-being of the former couple's 4 children. MOLA has been a reliable partner to DC Affordable Law Firm by investing in our service of Latino community members, facilitating community-wide events in which we have participated, and helping to facilitate connections between DCALF and other community-based organizations catering to Latino community members. We are excited to be able to use this funding to engage in organic grassroots level community engagement and facilitate access to legal services for hardworking members of our city's Latinx communities. And I will say, in conjunction with critical funding we have received from OVSJG and the Council's record-breaking Access to Justice Awards, nearly all of our clients now qualify for grant-funded free representation, which is a critical investment in the hardworking DC residents who make our city great. So on behalf of DC Affordable Law Firm, I thank you, Councilmember White, and thank the Mayor and the Council for offering such a robust network of community affairs offices and continuing to invest in MOLA support. We appreciate your investment in the welfare of our city's residents and prioritizing critical legal services and other services that enable families to thrive and shine in the District of Columbia. Thank you.
Thank you. Check 1, 2. Can you hear me? Wave if you can hear me. You can, okay. I don't know what was going on. All right, cool. And so we over time, so I'll jump back in to ask a few questions and go to our government witnesses. Ms. Wolfe.
Yes.
Quick question. Has the hybrid platform been better or harder to connect with your students once you trim down the number of students you work with?
Yeah, I would say there's been pros and cons. So one of the things that has been challenging, so basically now we have all of our AmeriCorps members at the schools, and some of the students receive completely in-person instruction, and others, the AmeriCorps member helps the student log on to their session over the computer with a volunteer who's virtual. So initially, some of the challenges were noises, like noise distractions, if a student's receiving like in-person instruction while the other person's on the computer. We've combated that with like headsets for the students or like white noise machines and different things like that. And then I think one of the other challenges is for our virtual program. We really need the parent permission slips back right away. And there's a little bit of leeway with students starting in person. So we found it very challenging for getting parent permission slips and just like a variety of different things. One of the biggest challenges has been the DCPS volunteer clearance process, but that's impacted both the in-person or virtual. So I think it's been a lot easier being able to have the AmeriCorps members in person though. So even with the hybrid, the core members are able to build the relationships with the schools and really strengthen that so we have a better understanding of what's going on at each school that we're working with.
Got it. What would you say are the best practices to keep our youth engaged, especially with reading?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've really built in some brain breaks and trying to give students choice within their lesson plans and activities. So if a student's doing like a hybrid session with a tutor, there's a point in their session, which is 45 minutes long, where the student can take a little bit of a break or do jumping jacks or kind of some stretches and things like that. In the in-person session, the student also has the chance to, or the tutor and the student kind of work together to see how the students' learning. So we've had a student in the past who was kind of fidgety and really needed to move around a little bit. So the tutor working with the core member was able to incorporate more movement into the lessons. And since we pivoted with the virtual sessions, we now incorporate social emotional learning skills. So I think that also encompasses maybe some aspects of learning that students might not have been getting as much of when they weren't physically in schools, something that they missed out on. So we're trying to incorporate that in the lessons. And then the last thing I would say, we try to give students as much choice as possible, whenever possible, for different things. So we have a Take Reading With You program where students can select if they would like to take a book with them to keep after their lesson, and then they can get some, I believe, stars and maybe eventually get some prizes if they do a book report on that. But it's their choice if they would like to take a book with them. So we try to make sure our Take Reading With You libraries are stocked full of like diverse books for students.
Got you. And I have been concerned about that across the district as we see our learning loss has increased as a result of this pandemic. So I want to thank you for that. I'm gonna move on. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Ms. Stewart.
Hi, yes.
Yes. Stewart, where is your new shelter going to be located? I don't even know if you have a name where it's going to be located, because some of these locations I kind of like get in place. You are able to share.
Sorry, you were asking about the location of our new shelter, the facility that we're building?
Yes.
Okay. We are working. I have not been there myself. I can have our shelter staff and supervisors shares with you some more information about that. Since I only work in person at our courthouse, I don't work at a shelter. So I can definitely have them follow up with you about that. I just don't want to speak out of turn in answering that question.
Got it. We've seen it in the district. There's been a number of calls around domestic violence.
We've definitely seen a major increase in domestic violence during the pandemic. That number of over 11,000 clients that we've interacted with is much higher than previous years. And that's just folks who we're actually connecting with. And of course, as I had mentioned, we have not seen as much of an increase with working with Latinx survivors. And we do believe that has to do with increased barriers of contacting us. We don't believe that means that it's not happening, with more people inside the home, more of the time. We just have seen a lot more increase of conflict in the home and less accessibility to resources outside of that space. It's a lot harder for survivors to get out when there's nowhere that they can reasonably go because everyone's working from home, kids are at home. It's harder to get out of those environments. My supervisor did just let me know, she just chatted me about our shelter information. It's located in Ward 5.
Your sound is going in and out, so I can't hear anything you're saying at the moment. The last I heard was Ward 5. Oh. Good. The last I heard was Ward 5, but for the sake of time, we gotta keep going. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Because I don't want to mess up your name, I'm gonna call you Miss Gabby if you're not offended. DC Affordable.
Not in the least. I'm happy to be Miss Gabby.
How has having only graduates from DC Law School as staff help with the culture of your work?
Oh, what a great question. I truly, the fellowship model that we have, I think, is what makes DCALF unique as an organization and truly ensures that we have the best and the brightest and the most passionate continuing to come into our doors with the desire of serving DC residents. So it is, we have now graduated more than 40 public interest attorneys, the vast majority of whom have gone on to serve other DC legal services organizations or other public interest legal services organizations throughout the country. And in terms of the culture, it is really wonderful. I continue to learn from them each and every day as they bring their energy and their passion and their really just desire to dig in and serve hardworking Washingtonians. So it's a really bright and energetic place to be.
Thank you for that. Let me ask, what are some of the top, I guess, legal aspects that your constituents need the most help with?
So we are three practice areas, as I noted, are family law, immigration, and probate. Within each of those, there's lots of unique curvatures. For family law, it's predominantly child custody and divorce, with custody being the most significant need. But within there, we see spousal support issues, child support issues, and we are one of the few organizations that in recent times has handled some annulments as well. Within immigration, we handle both humanitarian needs and non-humanitarian needs. So naturalizations, employment documentation, but also special immigrant juvenile status and asylum is really the largest practice within our immigration work. And with probate and estate planning, unfortunately, we have seen from 2020 to 2021, we saw a 200% increase in our probate practice. And I think that was due to a multitude of different factors, but there are very few legal services organizations practicing in that space. And certainly, while we want to be there to absolutely help shepherd people through the probate process, which is very bureaucratic and very complicated as a legal practice area, we also at the same time want to increase our work in helping community members proactively plan for their futures by doing empowerment-based and really dignified estate planning, because we know that's critically important to preserving and protecting intergenerational wealth in the district, and has long not been something highly utilized by so many within our communities.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate your testimony. I'm just happy you've been able to collaborate with other organizations like the Commission on Father, Men, and Boys and MOLA. So I want to thank you.
Yes. I'll be back to testify about our work with MOFMB and MOA as well in the coming weeks. So thank you, Council Member.
Thank you. And so I want to thank everyone who testified today. It's critical that we hear from our partners, figure out what's going on, what's needed, what's not working, what can we do more of in a district that's growing financially. We want to make sure we are putting our money to where the work needs to be done. We're going to elevate Director Eduardo Perdomo. But before we do that, I'm going to take a 3-minute break and then come back. So while we elevating him, he's preparing to give his testimony. I'll be back in 3 minutes. Hey, Director, I see you look ready. Just give me a moment. I'm in a hearing on my other phone.
Yeah, take your time. Take your time. Thank you very much, Council Member.
I know we're in a crunch time with. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to jump in this and jump right back in.
anything that pretrial wants to offer concerning Mr.
Hello, Director.
Compliance with pretrial conditions of release.
Morning, Councilmember True White.
Hope all is well. Yeah, I apologize. Supposed to be speaking at this court hearing, but they haven't called me yet. So we're gonna go right ahead and multitask this thing.
That's the way to go.
All right. Well, happy Monday. You can start your testimony and we'll get right into it.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Councilmember White, members of the committee, and my staff. My name is Eduardo Perdomo, and I'm honored to lead the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs under the exceptional leadership of Mayor Muriel Bowser. For those unfamiliar with MOLA, our agency focuses on engaging the over 70,000 Latino residents who are business owners and stakeholders in the community by connecting them to solutions provided by DC government agencies and community-based organizations. Last week, Mayor Bowser proposed the fiscal year 23 Fair Shot budget, which reflects what we're hearing from DC Latino residents. Their concerns about public safety and housing affordability, and how we can build an equitable post-recovery process for the Latino communities. The fiscal year 23 budget focuses on building a more equitable society through sustained investments in programmatic initiatives such as the Immigrant Justice Legal Services Grant, the Summer Youth Employment Program, and the Latino Community Development Grant. These programs reflect our DC values and enhance our sanctuary city status, recognizing that immigrants are an essential part of the city's prosperity. As a trusted messenger between the government and the Latino community, MOLA directly engages with all ages from toddlers to seniors and connects them with the necessary resources to improve their quality of life. With the proposed budget fiscal year Fair Shot budget, Mayor Bowser is doubling down on her commitment by ensuring that every Washingtonian has the opportunity to build back better. It also ensures that MOLA can provide the DC Latino residents with equitable access to the district services, no matter their immigration legal status. Chief of Staff John Falsicchio will testify separately about the overall vision for the Executive Office of the Mayor, where MOLA resides. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I want to highlight several programs in our fiscal year 23 Fair Shot budget. First, coordinating and supporting the implementation of Mayor Bowser's Immigrant Justice Legal Services Grant. The IELS program supports the provision of legal services to DC immigrant population and their families to ensure that they feel safe and welcome. Second, implementing the Latino Community Development Grant Program, which supports community-based organizations in their efforts to serve DC Latino communities by eliminating barriers to services in the areas of education, health and wellness, public safety, jobs, economic development, civic engagement, youth engagement, and arts and creative economy. Third, supporting the recovery of Latino businesses and employees across the district by connecting them to technical assistance and financial support. Fourth, implementing Mayor Bowser's multicultural summer youth employment program with a focus on Latino youth. This version of the SYP program is unique because it allows recently arrived undocumented Latino youth to have the same opportunities as their peers. Fifth, promoting the Latino diversity and culture throughout the district with initiatives focused on celebrating their contributions to our beautiful city. And sixth, enhance the institutional capabilities of our partnering community organizations. And seventh, improve Latinos' access to the district government social services, such as the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERAP, health insurance, clean energy, among others. The mayor has ambitious goals, and the fiscal year 23 budget provides MOLA with the necessary means to ensure our residents emerge from the pandemic and stronger and are ready for new opportunities that will enrich our communities. MOLA is prepared to deliver on these goals by engaging in fostering relationships and serving as trusted messenger to the Latino residents in all 8 wards. To conclude, I want to thank Mayor Bowser for her leadership and for the opportunity to serve in this position. It is an honor to serve my neighbors in our beautiful city, which continues to grow. And I also want to thank my MOLA team who work tirelessly to help the community with the support and the resources to thrive in our city. With that, Mr. Chairman, I make myself available for any questions you and members of the committees may have. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. First, let me step back by swearing you in real quick. As you know, it's the practice of this office to swear in all government witnesses. You can start by raising your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give to the Committee on Recreation, Library, Youth Affairs is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear, I do.
All right. I'll jump right in. Not seeing any other members yet. So the overall budget for MOLA decreased by 2.3% for the gross funds, which is about 150,000 for FY23 from FY22. How is the agency compensating for the decrease in the time when the agency is asked to do more? And we've even heard more from the partners of MOLA that's doing the work in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your question. And in fact, the reduction that is reflected in our budget is based on the new way that we estimate the intra-district transfer among different government agencies. That represents $198,000 from the Summer Youth Employment Program. And we are in the works with Director Unique Hughes, to reestablish that in the fiscal year 23. So it's going to be incorporated in our budget, just as of now, is not reflected in the current budget.
And you said that's coming through the partnership with the Department of Employment Services, or there's other people adding on to it as well? Because I heard you say like 190.
198, and through the Department of Employment Services. Every year, the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs has the Summer Youth Employment Program with a focus on recently arrived undocumented youth to enable them to have the same opportunities as their peers. And what we do is that we place them in community-based organizations to provide them with the opportunity to have experiences in a work setting environment that is positive, and to engage with the solutions of the issues in their community by helping people that look like them. For instance, last year we had a call center comprised by members of the Summer Youth Employment Program, and they were able to serve over 1,000 people and connect them with housing opportunities or financial resources, and also to connect them with unemployment insurance claims opportunities. So it's one of our best programs that we have here that we feel proud of, because it's what DC is about, our DC values. No matter if you're here 5 minutes or 5 generations, we are helping our people to thrive with our city.
Just to clarify what
Thank
we were
you.
talking about a few minutes ago about
The intra-district process for FY23 has been eliminated. Is it reported that there is some duplication in this agency providing services? Can you elaborate about what happened and how the agency will continue to perform without services being interrupted?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Sherman. And as I mentioned before, the district has a new way to calculate the buyer-seller relationship among DC government agencies, and MOLA, as the seller, will be working and will continue to work with the Department of Employment Services. So the reduction that you saw there, the 2.3%, it's actually going to be addressed with the Department of Employment Services. So in practice, we don't have a reduction. We have a maintained level of budget.
So explain to me a little bit more about the intra-district process.
So, Mr. Sherman, so like we as a seller, like what we do is like we go to the department, in this case with the Department of Employment Services, and we enable them to serve hard to reach members of our community. And by, as I mentioned before, in the case of the Summer Youth Employment Program, connecting them to opportunities that otherwise wouldn't be available to them. And we provide this service, and then we raise the we put together a budget and provide this budget to the Department of Employment Services for their consideration. And once they review and see the level of services that we're intending to provide through this partnership, so they agreed upon that, and then we start like providing the services. The transaction comes through like from the budget of the Department of Employment Services to the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, and then to community-based organizations that we work with.
Okay. The community-based programs grants management was decreased, look like $5,700 to $4,500, which is about a cut of $1,100. How would this decrease affect the agency and the general residents in the district, if any?
It should not have any impact in our the estimated level of services that we're expecting to deliver this year. In fact, we have increased so far the numbers of organizations that we work with in the community, and we have services being provided in all 8 wards. For instance, in your in Ward 8, we have over 8 programs that are providing services, and some of them you had the opportunity to listen or hear from them. For instance, CAP is one of the programs that we have providing services in Ward 8, as well as DC Safe, among others. Yeah.
Thank you. I see we've also been joined by my Ward 1 colleague, Councilman Brianna Doe. I'll come to her in a second. As of March 16th, MOLA has a vacancy for the District of Operations with a salary of $91,000 and a community outreach specialist for $62,000. These positions were vacant during the agency performance hearing. What are MOLA's plans regarding these vacancies? And if they are, and what's the time frame for filling these vacancies?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Sherman. And in MOLA's performance oversight hearing, we had additional positions open. We had the staff position, which has been filled, and we had the public information officer position that has been filled as well. Currently, as you mentioned, yes, we do have 2 positions. Prior to this role here at MOLA, I was the director of operations. Since then, I'm interim capacity as of now. So this position is like still pending. And then we have 1 position that is in the process of, we're constantly working with the Mayor's Office of Talents and Appointments. And we have had several interviews to fill that position of outreach specialist, and it's open to the public and available through their website.
Get it. Where are we? In your testimony, you discuss MOLA's desire to improve Latinos' access to district governments, social services like ERAP and other, DHS programs. What fiscal allocation do you anticipate this effort will be for MOLA in this FY23 budget?
So in our budget, as I mentioned, we have one of the main tools that we have here to our disposal is the support of community programs through our grant, the Latino Community Development Grant Program. And every year, we have over 90 organizations that provide direct support to our constituents, providing services that otherwise wouldn't be available to them. One of the services that we are providing through our partnering organizations is connecting them through housing services or support. We have several programs and that are intending to do this every year: housing counseling services, LEDC, Jubilee Housing that you had the opportunity today to listen from them, Mi Casa. We have at least 10 organizations that are providing direct assistance to DC residents to connect them to financial resources available in DC government. And also, Office on Latino Affairs has been open. This is something that I feel proud of. We have been open throughout the pandemic. We built on our prior director, Director Jackie Reyes, who's now leading the Community Affairs Agency. We have kept the office open to the public. And one of the things that we're doing here is like we connect people to solutions every single day. And so far in this fiscal year, we have submitted applications on behalf of DC residents to obtain financial support from the IRAP program of, I believe, over 65 applications that we, MOLA, have been able to do ourselves, in addition to the collaborations that we have out there in the community.
Thank you. I'll digress for now. I'm gonna jump to my colleague, Councilmember Brianna Nadeau, if she has questions or open statement.
Thank you so much. No statement, just jump right into questions. Hi, Director, how are you?
Very good. Thank you, Council Member. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and thanks for your constant presence in Ward 1, serving our Latino community. I want to thank you for working with my office and committing to a path forward toward establishing Amigos Park at the corner of Mount Pleasant and Kenyon Streets in Ward 1. I was just there Saturday, and everybody is very excited. And you know, but I'll state for the public, this is a corner of historic importance to DC Central American community, and I've supported creating an improved space for the community to build and take ownership of that. So last year, Council unanimously passed a resolution I introduced supporting the creation of Amigos Park. I'm so glad that MOLA has stepped up to be the government partner in this effort and to work with 7-Eleven there, which owns half the parcel, to sort out site control. Now, the question I have for you, is there any grant funding for Amigos Park reflected in MOLA's FY23 budget?
Thank you, Councilmember Brianna Nadeau, for your question. And yes, we're happy to collaborate with you and your office in providing the support that our community needs, which is like to engage them where they are. And that's one of our motto here at MOLA. And, you know, the grant process in MOLA is open, transparent, and it's available for any community organization out there to want to apply to it. So the funding is there. So what we have to see is a community-based organization will put forward an application to receive funding from the office for that specific purpose. And as you know, the mayor is committed to promote our DC values, like where we as a sanctuary city, we care about every single immigrant in our community, and the Latino community is not exception to this. We are always looking for ways to serve them, and Amigos Park is going to be one of the ways that we're going to be serving our community.
And how much funding is there for community-based grants?
So we have two main programs. We have the Latino Community Development Program, and we have the Immigrant Justice Legal Services Grant. Among both programs, we have over like the immigrant justice is $3.5 million, and the Latino community is $1.8 million. So overall will be like $5.3 million or so.
Great. Well, what really exciting is that when I was together with the organizers on Saturday, they're actually looking at hosting a festival there. Even before we have full site control, you know, they've already worked with 7-Eleven to do this. So we'll follow up with your office and connect you with the organizers, because they could potentially apply for a grant for that festival and involve your office, and we could all be there together.
Yes, thank you very much.
And thank you. My next question was going to be the funding level for the Immigrant Legal Services. So we definitely want to work with you. I know there is an ask among the legal services reps to get that up to 5 million. So we want to work with your office and the other council colleagues to try to get that up to 5. And just, you know, we know the total need for Amigos Park is going to be probably greater than is reasonable to come from that pot of money, in the $1 million. So we'll continue to work to see if we need any designated funding. And I just appreciate your partnership on that.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Nadeau. And I want to put this in the record. It's like every year since the creation of the Immigrant Justice Legal Services Grant, Mayor Muriel Bowser has increased the budget. We started with $500,000 and today, in 2017, and today is $3.5 million.
That's right. It was 1.9 and now we're at 3.5. It's good progress.
Yeah, and that's an expression and an indicator of our commitment and the mayor's commitment to the immigrant communities in the district.
Absolutely. And like all these funds, it's just that there's so much need. We could always spend more. So
it takes us, Councilmember Nadal, it's not like there are some other cities that call themselves sanctuary cities in America, but this city, under the leadership of Mayor Muriel Bowser, has take things above and beyond. Not only that we don't coordinate with ICE, we also put funding for programs like the Immigrant Justice Legal Services Grant that take us as to another level as a city. And myself as an immigrant, I feel welcome here in Washington, D.C. And I know and I'm proud of being serving under the leadership of Mayor Muriel Bowser because of this kind of investments. You know, it's not like no other city. It's a unique program nationwide.
well, speaking of that, one other thing I wanted to mention is we have pending here at the council the Local Voting Rights Act, which would give voting rights in all of our local elections to our legal permanent residents. So we are hoping that we will get that through the council this year, and just wanted to touch base and make sure that, you know, that y'all are on board and don't have any concerns.
Yeah, thank you for letting us know. And we are pending of this important a milestone. Like the city of New York recently passed a bill that was very inclusive in the area of like voting rights. And it's the same thing that the city is asking for the statehood, the recognition of if we pay taxes, we should be able to vote and make our voices be heard.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your testimony, and thank you, Chairman White, for allowing me to ask some questions tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Director. It seems like from the testimonies of the partners we've heard from today and in the past, even during the performance oversight, even last year, that you guys are empowering people to do some great work that's connecting with populations that may be hard to reach or may need additional supports that our other government agencies may not. So I'm thankful that Mayor Bowser is making those investments and connections, and we're trying to figure out how to ensure more. There are a number of challenges that I know many residents face, including our Latino community during this pandemic. And you guys have been on the front line in the trenches, connecting with people, organizations, making sure that we are at least creating an avenue to services to make sure people don't lose their homes, make sure they keep their insurances or their benefits. And that's a notable job. So I did want to thank you for joining us today, Director. As a final note for this hearing, if anyone could not testify, would like to submit a written testimony to be included in the official record, you can email our committee at rya@dccouncil.us. The record will close on March the 30th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. With no other business before this committee, this hearing is concluded. The time is now 11:53 a.m. and the meeting is adjourned. Have a blessed day.